Welcome back. You're watching RT International. Let's return now to one of our top stories this hour, the general election in Israel. Let's bring in Gabriel Sassoon. He's the Foreign Communications Advisor and member of the Zionist Union campaign. Gabriel, thank you so much for coming on to speak to us. Busy time, obviously, for you. The Zionist Union, it currently leads the polls. If it wins, do you think it'll be able to form a coalition?
Yeah, we're cautiously optimistic at this point. We're watching the polls closely. At this point, we're not, it's not the time now to discuss potential coalitions. Now's the time to listen to the voices of the Israeli voter, and we're hoping that they'll take the message that in this fractious electoral system that Israel has that encourages smaller parties, that Israelis will not vote for the smaller parties and will understand that a vote for any other party but the Zionist Union could lead to a continuation of Netanyahu's rule. So, yeah, we're cautiously optimistic at this point now.
I know you're not keen to discuss coalitions, but this is something that voters themselves must be thinking about. If they vote for the Zionist Union, what's going to come next? Netanyahu's already dismissed the possibility of a coalition with the Zionist Union. I mean, what kind of unity can there be when the parties seem to be so opposed on so many issues?
Well, many parties and many party leaders have said many things prior to the elections. Let's see what they say after the elections. We're cautiously optimistic. We certainly believe that a coalition can be formed. And the important thing is that the Zionist Union, Herzog's party, receives the maximum number of mandates that it possibly can get in the 120-seat parliament.
Israel obviously has quite a few problems at the moment, as well as domestically, on the international front. Because of the conflict in Gaza, it's been getting a lot of criticism. There's been deteriorating relations with outside nations. Will this election bring any change to that situation, do you think?
Yes, I heard your report earlier by Paul Aslier. I know, Paul, I happen to disagree with it. I don't think Israel has isolated itself. I think that, there are a number of international actors that seek to, isolate Israel no matter what Israel does. But Netanyahu hasn't helped. Certainly, he hasn't helped relations with the Americans over the last couple of weeks, and certainly over the last months and years. And there's been increased international isolation, as you said. He hasn't helped in that regard. Certainly, simply a change of prime minister and a Herzog prime ministership will certainly be a step in the right direction. And the different policies vis-a-vis, there's no different policy in terms of things like Iran. No Israel, as you heard Isaac Herzog say, no Israeli leader will accept a nuclear Iran. It will not happen. But certainly vis-a-vis, for example, the Palestinian issue, Isaac Herzog has said that he will not continue settlement building outside of the major settlement blocks, and he will immediately go to Ramallah and speak with President Abu Mazen and see if there is a Palestinian partner on the other side. So yeah, I certainly think that there'll be an improvement in international relations if there is a Prime Minister Herzog in the next few weeks.
Could we say that a vote for Herzog is a vote for closer relations with the US?
Oh yeah, I think that relations with the US have been damaged in the last period. The cornerstone of really Israeli strategic relations, or US-Israeli, of Israeli strategic relations in the Middle East, is the US-Israel relationship, and the cornerstone of that is a bipartisan support for Israel in the US, and by playing one party off against the other, as Prime Minister Netanyahu did effectively, making a campaign stump speech in the US Congress, certainly didn't help. Yeah, I absolutely believe that this will, a Herzog Prime Ministership will improve relations between Israel and the US.
Well, we're hearing the thoughts of Gabriel Sassoon, who is the Foreign Communications Advisor for the Herzog campaign on this very important day in Israel. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on and speak to us.